What's up, everybody? Welcome to the Sports Jedi Network, the Wrestling Galaxy's #1 spot of your weekly reviews, rumors, hot takes. Of course, I am your host, BX Sports Jedi. Kev, I have the one and only PGH Chris here. We're going to be talking recap, storylines, twists, breaking news, all the rumors flying around the wrestling world, and nothing's off limits here. But first, let me say good afternoon to my one and only, the partner, PGH Chris. What's up, Chris?
What is up? What is up? Yes, absolutely. Nothing is off limits. And there are a little more breaking newses and rumors going around recently than, kind of the last couple of weeks. And, we're here to talk about it. But something, as me and Kev were doing our sound check backstage, we see that Andrade is no longer with the company. Breaking news, Andrade is no longer with WWE. I guess somebody pointed out that he was moved to the alumni section, and Sean Ross Sapp confirmed that he is no longer with the company. Kev, what are your thoughts about Andrade no longer being with the company? I just don't know if they don't have anything to do with him. But him and Ray Phoenix looked kind of good out there. I don't know. What do you think about what I told you before we kind of got started?
Yeah, first and foremost, we are sponsored by Dude Wipes. Dude Wipes and the Sports Jedi Network, wiping out the competition. Absolutely want to thank our partners, our collaborator, our partners, our sponsors, Dude Wipes. Appreciate it. Yeah, when we see Andrade returning to WWE, everyone was extremely excited, including myself here. He's going to get showcased, not lost in the sauce. He's still kind of like was stuck on neutral. Then the situation happened with Charlotte getting injured. They're divorced. Not to bring anything personal because that's none of our business. They're performers. They're. But you saw like it was kind of like on. Was it Charlotte fumbling a little bit? This is not blaming Charlotte. Before everyone thinks that I'm over here pointing the fingers. But when you have a marriage and you're going to have go through a divorce and you're working in the same company, things get a little uncomfortable. It gets a little uncomfortable, especially when people want to try to move on. And you're working in the same company. Who's he talking to? Who's she talking to him? Why is she hanging out with this? Was it really a healthy environment for both of them? Only they're professionals. We don't know. Everyone's in a different boat or different set of shoes to live that way. But let's talk about creatively with Andrade. What to me right now, I'm shocked and a little frustrated where now you're able to acquire and work with AAA Mexico, where he could have easily worked down in Mexico, WWE when he needed, back and forth, be a mega star and help get AAA off and running. And for him to elect to leave, it's got to be more than just, his mental health, and well-being where, yeah, I need a break away from the WWE because of the situation. There's still feelings, regardless of the fact you just don't split up and say you're done and I couldn't care less for XYZ person. You see Charlotte or vice versa. Charlotte sees Manny, Andrade, and there's feelings there. So maybe this is a better spot for him. Maybe walk away a little bit, reinvent himself on the independent scene. If All Elite Wrestling calls, they'll welcome him back with open arms because he is a good performer, good worker. They could really use him, especially, their babyface talent are a lot on the shelves with AEW. So interesting to see where Andrade goes in the next 60, 90 days. I don't know how long he's going to be able to be restricted away from the company. But I felt like the potential for Andrade was mishandled by the WWE again for the second time.
I agree. I don't think he should have left AEW to begin with. This was just and again, I don't like to get into the personal stuff either, but you guys know us over here, but it's like he wanted to be with his wife at the time. That's what it was. I mean, Charlotte has gone on public interviews sobbing and crying about how hard it was for Andrade being in AEW because she never saw him.
Right.
So it's, now it's kind of like, but he should have thought about it. I understand that at the time, but it's for his career wise, I knew it wasn't going to work out. And I knew maybe he wasn't maybe the happiest in AEW just having, banger matches, but, they're working with CMLL. So they're still associated with a big time Mexican promotion. And CMLL, I heard, it's pretty big down there. So
It is.
I don't see why he would leave in the first place. But yeah, I mean, they could have had him do a lot with AAA if they didn't want him necessarily full time on SmackDown or nothing. Those matches he had with Carmelo Hayes were amazing, but
Excellent.
nothing to follow up on that with story or anything like that. Him and Ray Phoenix weren't bad as a tag team. Again, I'm a little surprised just because I thought maybe that would have gone a little bit longer until maybe they, if or when they would reunite the Lucha Brothers. But I don't know. I don't know. That's a little shocking. I'm not too shocked, but just by recently, with Ray Phoenix, the tag team, he's been on like PLEs with tag team, the ladder matches. I'm surprised. I'm surprised a little bit, but they weren't giving anything him, storyline wise or creatively or sending him to AAA. The little times he was showcased on SmackDown, I think he made the most of it, but wasn't showcased enough or really given anything.
Yeah, I agree with you there. They kind of, let me be honest with you, they kind of stutter stopped his entrance from the very beginning. I think fans wanted him to come in when, if he was going to be single competitor, everybody wanted a reunion with Selena Vega. Didn't get it. I think it would have helped both talent immensely.
Yeah, because she's one that I wouldn't be surprised if she's gone soon either.
That's where that's where I'm getting to with that as well. Because if fans wanted that, you would have got that. That would have gave them a jump start. Selena could have cut promos. They could have been a reunion there, so forth there. That didn't happen. Andrade kind of felt in the weeds there, put on some great matches with Carmelo Hayes, best of 7. They had those great matches. This is something that has to do with when it comes to SmackDown creative. I think SmackDown, I don't want to point fingers, but again, from the insertion of the writers, we all know the Road Dogg, Jesse James is the new writer there, along with Brian Gerwertz, part of that, whatever the case was, and all the different creative and SmackDown hasn't been a good show. And if you guys are the head of it, we have to point at you. Now we lost, you moved Karrion Kross away from Fridays because there was nothing for Karrion. Karrion is no longer with the company. When is the time where we got to ask? It's the writers and creative, because we're losing. It's easy to get rid of talent. Oh, let's gone, released, or and in this case, I don't know if they had a mutual release or a mutual. He's not there. Talent from SmackDown tend to leave more quicker. If they don't get moved over to Monday Night Raw, they want their release. LA Knight, we could say, was borderline of getting almost released on Friday Night SmackDown, because it was just he you know what? Thanks for the fans buying his merchandise and his catchphrase. Yeah, some people might roll their eyes. Oh, LA Knight's not but a catchphrase. Yeah, but he's actually not. Look what he's doing, main eventing on Monday Night Raw. Regardless of the fact if you think it's a redundant rinse and repeat, he's still at your main event and he's still getting over with the crowd. Something's wrong on that Friday night show where the talents are not being showcased correctly. We have to start asking the head writers. We have to hold them accountable, because you could remove the talent. So what's going to happen? We're going to bring up all these other wrestling talents up and then release them again. And then we're going to have a hamster wheel of turds going around in a circle. I can't, speaking of that, Dude Wipes. I want to make a moment here to have a word from our official sponsor.
Dude Wipes. The leaves may be falling and the dumps are calling. Dumpkin spice season is here.
Chris, give me your thoughts on that, man.
Okay, this is I was gonna say this. So I think the writers, even the talent on SmackDown, I feel like they think SmackDown is here compared to Monday Night Raw, because especially with Monday Night Raw being on Netflix and they see all these celebrities in the front row, those Monday Night Raws, they feel like a freaking PLE sometimes, especially with the production, the Netflix, they really do, at least here in the States, right? So when SmackDown, when they're just on cable, it doesn't feel, people probably feel, I could be totally wrong. Maybe it's like, yo, how do we compete with Monday Night Raw? We're supposed to be working together to build up storylines going into the big PLEs, but it just feels like one show's just way above the other. I feel like they're giving their all to just that show and the other. That's why they have a lot of guys going back and forth. First off, like the top guys like Punk, Rollins, Roman Reigns, Cody is still even on Raw sometimes. I don't think they have really anybody to be a SmackDown guy anymore. Roman Reigns isn't there all the time like he was. Roman Reigns was that guy. But I think Netflix going on or Raw going on Netflix plays a big part on SmackDown's decline. I really do, because I really think people give more of a shit about that show than SmackDown. And it sucks because SmackDown's on a Friday night. When I was younger, I always enjoyed looking forward to SmackDowns more than Raw. With JBL, Undertaker, Ray, Eddie, even Big Show, Cena, Brock. Like, what happened to that? To making, I don't know. But I think Netflix being on Raw.
No, I'm glad you mentioned that, due to the fact that before, because it was even if it was on My 9, UPN 9, whatever whatever it was called back then, and then it went to Fox. It was still network television. It was the big, at that time. I know television, the way we consume it, we watch it, has evolved and changed. But it was still a big thing because SmackDown, you were on nationally televised TV. Anybody from anyone's grandmother, if they wanted to, could have tuned in and watched.
Mm-hmm.
Now it's changed a little bit. Now everyone with this generation, the way you consume, it's streaming. Everybody and their mother has Netflix. Also, like you said, they made a big deal about the Netflix. Here's the one thing that we have to remember. They sold us a bill of goods. I don't care what you fucking say. Excuse my language. WWE sold us a hell of a bill of goods when they said we're going to Netflix and we're going to change how we're going to watch things. Bullshit. It's still laden with a shitload of commercials, the same way USA Network was when Raw was on the flagship. And maybe people have that consumption that, I got to be on Netflix because there's going to be less commercials. Unless if you're watching it internationally and you're streaming it via international feed, you're gonna see, yes, you're not going to have commercials. And maybe that's why Raw feels and still feels a little more of a bigger show than SmackDown. But if they're still loading it. If you're in the United States and you're playing it by, safe by the numbers, you're getting a hell of a lot of commercials, But it's on Netflix, and now that's the thing. It's no longer part of the cable. None of that. It's away from the cord, and it feels like a stronger show, perception wise, than SmackDown. Now, last 2 weeks, you could see a little bit of change of the tide. Although Raw this week was really strong, returning of AJ Lee, getting on that microphone, speaking about, and I love how she introduced herself. It was nice, subtle. She went away for 10 years. She went to go get some mental health issues, some help. People share therapy. Interesting. All that. Hearing her first words. She was a natural. I love the fact that she came out with that women's intercontinental title. It was like, oh man, it kind of fits her. It looks good on her. I was like, damn, that looks good. You know what? Nice job there. All in all, we'll keep an eye on the ratings or the shows when SmackDown Raw. But let's talk about Raw here. With the AJ Lee. I know you might have been young enough, just saw her not really grasp her full career the same way I feel like with Bruno Sammartino. I only saw Bruno at the end of his career, and to me, I couldn't appreciate the greatness of Bruno. Like, this is just guy. He looks like one of my friend's grandfather. I grew up in Trosnik. You saw it's a Modern Italian neighborhood. I thought it was like one of my I didn't see the big wow, but your thoughts on AJ Lee?
Yeah, I'm one of those people that I seen AJ Lee. When she was with Dolph, Biggie, I saw her in the beginning doing all that other stuff with all those other people, with Cena, Bryan Danielson, etc. And it was good. It was good. I'm not expecting AJ Lee to go out there after 10 years of not being in a ring, or maybe she does public speaking, but maybe not to a wrestling promo an extent, right? She's done some movies, all that stuff, but this is a little different. She hasn't been in this environment in a long time. So maybe, she had a little nerves. She had some stumbles. She was getting emotional. So I think we're going to see better promos down the line. But this was a good introduction, especially I like the way that, if you guys don't know me, I'm AJ Lee. That was good. Her coming out with the Intercontinental Championship makes sense. Again, they did a good job of implying that. I know some people could say, why is AJ Lee getting a title shot right away? But her stealing the Intercontinental Championship and then walking out with it the next, time on Raw, that's building something there. And they don't get the match official until, Becky says, or whatever, give me the match. I'll give you this title back if you give us the match. And they did a really good job. So I'm seeing the outplay of WrestlePalooza, but I definitely see that we're gonna, if like I said, if AJ pins Becky, we're gonna get that IC title match the next pay-per-view. So it's gonna be good stuff going down the line. I really enjoyed it.
Yep, it's set up with the match for WrestlePalooza. So the worst kept secret in all of wrestling, pretty much, her return and setting up that mixed tag team match. We're getting that mixed tag team match next week on WrestlePalooza, of course. But I like how, you know what? I always tell this. I think I always tell this to our chat. Oh, this is so predictable. Look, I always say this again, not to sound like cliche and all that stuff. The sun rises each and every morning and it sunsets, and it's predictable. But what happens on that course of your day dictates that day. So my point is, it could be predictable that we're going to get that mixed tag team match, but how they got there, no one knew that she was going to take the women's intercontinental title and kind of hold it for ransom for that match, so she could accept that match. Perfect. What does the chicken shit heel, and in the case of Becky, wants her title back? You didn't want it. You know, are we crazy? We're not seeing her hold that title. I love how they got there, how they told that story to get that match. We all knew that match was coming. We knew that. We knew that the sun is going to, we all know the sun's going to set in a couple hours if you're on the East Coast, United States. But how we get there. And I love how the hell they got there. I love how they tell that story. That's the essence that we lose sometimes when we're wrestling fans. Everybody quickly says, I hate it. This was trash. This was stupid, predictable. Oh, I knew this was going to happen. But again, did you know how exactly the details, the devil's in the details, how the I's were dotted and how the T's were crossed? I like how they dotted the I's and crossed the T's to get us to something we knew was going to get there. Made sense. I enjoyed it. Bravo. You know what? I'm looking forward to that match with all four of the participants. Rollins coming out, getting his wife. Yeah, pretty much carried her on her shoulders on the way back. I loved everything about it. They hit a home run on it because they got to what we wanted. How are we going to make sense for them to have a match? And we're going to talk about making sense, because we got that. We're going to know, when we get to the NXT portion, I have a lot of different questions, but I love how it was. And I know how I love it went there. One thing that people are talking about that came out of Monday Night Raw was the international feed, AJ Styles promo. We heard it. Your thoughts on that AJ Styles promo?
Yeah, it's a little interesting. Triple H wasn't there, I guess. So I'm curious to know if that was gonna happen. I don't know. That's an interesting one there. I don't know if maybe, he said on Chris Van Fleet he doesn't want to wrestle past 50, and he's 48, about to be 49. So his time's winding down. I don't know if this is an angle. I don't know. I don't know if this was a shot at like Bruce or somebody in the back. But it's interesting because AJ really, this is kind of out of character for AJ Styles, but he knew that the cameras would still be on. It's not like it's not like anybody, only the people in the arena saw it. Everybody international saw it. If you saw it, you saw it. So I don't know. That's actually a tough one for because that's out of character. That's out of character for him. But maybe something's actually up where he's fed up. I have no idea.
Here's my opinion. Triple H is called, what is one of his nicknames? Cerebral Assassin. He's a cerebral assassin. He pegs himself on being there. Everyone knows that man knew that he was going to do that. Kill Tony for special. Wasn't going to be there. Scheduled time off. I think that guy has a schedule even when he's going to move a vow movement, so everything is there. AJ Styles, earlier in the week, there was a tweet came out that his son agreed, that his son pretty much saying that the AJ Styles creatively is very frustrated to see how he's being booked. Because it was talking about the Dirty Dom situation in France. He is so over it. They should have pulled the trigger, winning the title there. And, of course, the son kind of agreed with it. I think they read that. I think they wanted to use that as an angle. I think Triple H said it will get things more talking, because if I go on McAfee, say I wasn't there part of Monday Night Raw, it feels like AJ Styles took liberty to cut a pipe bomb promo while the boss wasn't there to cut the microphone. So what is the hottest thing going around with WWE, as besides what we're going to get into next, or right when before we go into Tuesday, the unreal, blurring, seeing behind the curtain, giving you a peek behind the curtain, all that stuff. They want to film content that they could blur things there, use something that happened in real life, where just a simple like of a tweet and bring it onto the wrestling screen. Like, wow, now we could use this part of the storyline with blurring a little line of reality, with the kid not being happy, AJ being a little unhappy with his creative, not beating Dom, getting a little frustrated. Everyone knows that the contract is coming to an end. We all know what happened with R-Truth, carrying Cross. They had no issues speaking about that or acknowledging that on WWE TV and all that stuff. Now AJ Styles as well, and so now it could draw eyeballs to the product. I like it. Here's the thing, like you said, is it something that did he go in business for himself? I don't know, because I think Pritchard would have cut that microphone if he was there. I think they would have cut that microphone. I don't know if they would have let it go. I think, because they're an international crowd. No one really going to see it. Just, a couple, a little bit of buzz, and they would have been like, okay, nothing to see here, especially with all the news that was coming up in the weeks to come. People would have nobody's really talking about it. Just us now, because we're rehashing the week. Are we really talking, also, if you watch our show, if you follow our show, we had the privilege to interview Frankie Kazarian, the king of TNA. Frankie Kazarian had no second thoughts. I asked him straight up, would you like a match with AJ Styles? He said, of course. We're working on that. We've been working on that. We got a couple of hurdles to clear, to jump over. No question about it. I want AJ Styles. AJ Styles wants to wrestle me, and we want to make it in the near future. We're not getting any younger. We want to wrestle one another. Now, take it for whatever it's worth, your interpretation. AJ Styles leave WWE to go to TNA, or as a free agent, or is he going to represent WWE versus Frankie Kazarian? You could do it storyline wise. Everyone knows that Frankie Kazarian is a former pupil of Killer Kowalski. Killer Kowalski was Triple H's old trainer. They all went to the same wrestling school. There's a lot of wrestling ties with one another. There's a familiarity. I don't know. You don't want to make Triple H a heel, but one way of representation for Triple H is from the Killer Kowalski school over Frankie Kazarian. That's not for me I'm not a writer. I'm not a creative guy. I could give ideas, let them cross the I's and dot the T's if they want to put how they can insert a Frankie Kazarian as a higher mercenary to take on AJ Styles, or AJ Styles gets the nod to go to Slammiversary and for deduction of the Hall of Fame, and boom, Frankie Kazarian attacks, and kind of throw something along the line of a Triple H thing, or here's a receipt from someone, from someone higher up that wants me to get you. I don't know, Chris. I'm just or throwing shit out there.
No, you could be right. You could be right 100%. I agree.
So we'll see where that goes when it comes to AJ Styles. Look, would a guy AJ Styles at 49 next year or 48? You said he's up to 50, maybe. Let's say he's 40. I think he's 40 years old, 49 soon to be. For AJ Styles, one more year, maybe wrestle once a week. I understand where the AEW fans could get a little excited. They only wrestle once a week on Wednesdays, and on occasional Saturday if they need him for a collision. The schedule wise will fit on All Elite Wrestling. I'm not going to lie with you with that. It doesn't have to be. They look like they don't have a lot of production meetings, according to the rumors for people. Like, I'm not in the company, so I wouldn't know. The demand on AJ Styles isn't as great as it would be for WWE with the attentions and the details. Maybe that's something, but I don't know. He could always talk to Edge and find out how happy Edge really is in his later part of the career. Soft on that. I don't know. We always got to have that open door for AJ Styles. Is he leaving? Would it benefit him? Would it not benefit him to stay in the WWE? Would it benefit him to go back to TNA? They're getting a TV deal. They're moving into another direction. They're another company that's not going to, they only work once a week. They don't do, the house shows are on the weekends. They'll go on a Friday and tape Friday and Saturday, and then they're off for the next 3 weeks. They could take independence and they could do all that stuff. Their schedule isn't that time consuming like a WWE schedule as well. So we'll see where that goes for AJ Styles. Monday Night Raw was really good. Monday Night Raw. We closed out again with LA Knight, Jay Uso. The question is, what do you think? Is Jay? Everyone had his thing. Is Jay Uso turning heel, or he's just changing his attitude?
I think he's just changing his attitude for now. I think it's LA Knight going to be the one turning heel. I don't see AJ Styles or AJ Styles. I know we were just talking about AJ Styles. I don't see Jay Uso turning heel right now. We've seen this kind of energy with Jay where he's just kind of tired of being bullied and he just wants to take it serious. So he has that serious side of Jay. That's just kind of what we're seeing right now. I don't really think he's turning heel, and I think the tension's there. I said this a couple of weeks ago. I think it was good that they did that fatal 4-way match because they're two baby faces, but you have to build up tension. And now that there is tension between LA Knight and Jay, it makes sense. I don't think it's a heel move at all. I don't think what Jay did's a heel move at all. I think they already had tension and there's a story there. And then I think Seth Rollins played LA Knight plays a big part because he had the match with Seth, and I could see, I'm injured, whatever. I think it's gonna happen. I think you brought it up first when we talked, but I think LA Knight's gonna turn and join Seth.
By the way, where is our chat? Let's go, chat. You guys are quiet tonight. Let's go this afternoon. We need to hear from the chat. Where's our chat? This is a live show. We are good. We do read our chats. We're not going to throw you out or ban you or block you. We come on into the chat and have a conversation. It is a two-way talk. So just to let you know, we are live here on a Saturday afternoon. So definitely wanted to make sure that going and say hello. And yeah, look, LA Knight, it makes sense for him to turn heel. People are still going to say yeah, even on the punches. According to a lot of the wrestling breakdown analysts, they say the LA Knight's nothing but a cash race. So you know what? Turn him heel then. And people are still going to say yeah when the baby faces get punched by a heel LA Knight. Let me talk to you. That's him interrupting being a heel. Even when the baby face is taking his point out, or go nana. It will work even in a heel for LA Knight. And I still think right now people still buy heel merchandise. People say, "Oh, you don't make money as a heel because of the merchandise." I think you could still sell. Roman sold T-shirts like a mother when he was a heel. So all those things, all those narrative, all those metrics that they used to use before is a little antiquated. I think LA Knight makes sense. If you can't beat him, join him. He's lost seven, at least 1-7 in the last 8 matches against the Bloodline. Not the Bloodline, the Vision. Any members or any combination of or any main event that he's placed in for LA Knight. So a change of scenery. If you can't beat him, join him. Plain and simple for LA Knight. The only thing I'm going to ask: how is it going to look when you have Heyman, who could speak on the microphone? So could LA Knight, Rollins, and Becky all in that group. What happens to the Brawns? Bronson Reed and Braun Breaker. That's the issue there, with the microphone time and taking a step back. I got to be careful there. But LA Knight could use that fresh coat of paint, as a heel in that group will be fucking awesome. I would like to see that for LA Knight. I think that's going to help him there. And when that babyface turns happen later, months, don't have to rush it. Boy, it's going to be something special for LA Knight again, because we know that he could command a crowd to want to chant that man's name. So interesting enough on that one there as Monday Night Raw. Other news and notes, Asuka. Looks like Asuka, the heel turn is coming strong. She keeps living it up on social media with the Kyrie. Every few seconds she's posting something Kyrie. I like it. Asuka's getting it. Asuka's knowing and getting herself slowly but surely over. Stephanie Vaquer was not there. They scrapped another segment of the contract signing, leaving questions up in the air, but we get those questions answered the next following day. But before we go to NXT, let's talk about the big elephant in the room. There was a big press conference by the WWE. We waited a half hour. Let's get right into that. The press conference. First, we saw Triple H on Pat McAfee early in the week. Kind of spilled the beans that Cody Rhodes was going to return for soon. Also, little tidbits, but then a famous Snapchat tweet from the guy who's really. I asked the question: Is he the one really running WWE? Turkish Alamin, or whatever the turkey spoke. And I'll tell you what, he sure was throwing out board's head type of quality nuggets out there on Snapchat. He tweeted out WrestleMania is heading to Saudi Arabia, where then WWE quickly, I guess, did damage control or reaction. They scheduled a press conference 3:00. They brought out all the almost the heavy hitters, Charlotte, Bianca, Liv. I think Liv looks like she wants to tease her new gimmick, part of the Secret Service, dressed up there. I thought I was waiting for Chelsea to come out. Your thoughts there? The press conference. Did you like it? Was it necessary? What do you think? Your
Is it
thoughts,
necessary to announce WrestleMania in Saudi? Kinda, because this is the first time WrestleMania is going out of the country. So this is a big deal, but it's like now I'm actually going to get into WrestleMania being in Saudi. Nobody cares. And that's unfortunate. At least the reactions that I'm seeing online, because we know how the fake outrage could be, right? But it's like, look, WWE doesn't give a fuck. Excuse my language, but it's necessary here because and you'll see why.
Oh, yeah.
They don't care about anybody. So, and everybody's already asking this question: what happens to WrestleMania weekend with the independent shows, the WrestleCons, the other conventions that take place around WrestleMania weekend? Now, they already all these other, like WrestleCon got screwed because they had their venue booked for New Orleans, and then WrestleMania changed it back to Vegas. That's another thing. You're going to run back-to-back WrestleManias in the same city and then have the next year be in the Middle East. I don't know. I think WrestleMania's it's obviously the biggest show in wrestling. I'm not surprised that it's in Saudi. I'm a little bit surprised that it's not in the UK first. Maybe not too much. I don't know. I mean, 2026 really feels like Saudi season with the Royal Rumble, and then they're going to build that up the end of the year to go to WrestleMania the year after. So I don't know. I'm not excited. I think it's going to be an okay show, but I don't know. I don't know how it's going to play out. Maybe selfishly, because I would like to go to WrestleMania 43 in the States somewhere, but I don't know. It's a hard one because they've been doing shows in Saudi for so long, so it's nothing new. It's nothing that we're gonna have to get used to. But the shows are they feel kind of. I don't know if the energy's off with the performers or they just don't want to be. Did you see the look on like Charlotte and Seth's face, like when they were announcing it? Like nobody wants that. Like it feels the talent's vibes are off when they go there because they don't want to be there, and that makes us not want to watch them. At least for me. So I don't know how it's gonna work out, man. If anybody, if the fake outragers actually, if I'm going to believe them, I'm not watching this because they end up watching 90% of the time, right? This might be the time I believe it that they don't.
I'm gonna be like Thomas. I will believe it until I see it. Until I see them, with them.
I think this could be the WrestleMania or the show that fans finally put their foot down and say, "I'm not dealing with it." It could be. I could be totally wrong, but I'm not. The reactions I'm seeing at least aren't great. Did you see the chat last night during like you sold out? They were chanting that at the Worlds Collide show last night. I saw it on Twitter. So I don't know. It's one of those things where it's a tough situation because again, we're used to in them being in Saudi, but it's not really exciting.
Listen, I'm going to give this credit. I know JD from New York made a reaction video, and he kind of did say something that was very truthful. If you're going to be there and pretend that you were surprised and have for the reactionary podcasters react that you're surprised and you didn't see this coming, you're nonsense. I think everyone knew that was coming. We all knew we were going to get a WrestleMania in Saudi Arabia. We knew that. But if anything, like you said, like I'm gonna piggyback what you said earlier. If anyone should, if there was ever going to be an international WrestleMania other than Canada, outside the United States or the North American continent, it should have been the UK first. UK, I think, earned it, not deserved it. They earned it, from 92 Wembley, also all these venues that they've been doing, all these sellouts, the crowd, the energy that they bring. The United Kingdom should have gotten the WrestleMania first, and then if you wanted to go to Saudi Arabia, I think the blow would have been less softer. And then I agree with it. Okay, all right. Now we're going a little international with WrestleMania. There is no problem with that. But I think the way they did it, they leapfrogged the United Kingdom, and they pretty much sold themselves like a cheap whore to Saudi Arabia. I think that's where the outrage comes.
Absolutely.
Not the fact that they're going there. I think that's what it was.
Yes.
And you made that poor mayor of London look like a moron with that little baby belt. And him and Nick Khan, Tony. I remember that image. Nick Khan and Triple H raising him with that little baby belt. It made him look exactly what it meant. You felt like treated him like a little. You traded.
How do you think the UK feels now?
Yeah, that's what I was gonna say. You treated the UK like a little baby, like a little kid. Here's your consolation prize of a little toy belt. Shoot. That's not cool. That's not a good perception. Now, if I'm not telling people how to watch wrestling, because we need to cover it, because we want to be podcasters. We want to be able to go and have, go interview wrestling talents on not just all wrestling platforms. We want to be part of the wrestling community, the wrestling galaxy, but we want to give your opinion. If you're United Kingdom, next time they show up, send them a message. Listen, TKO told us what they care about. Send them a message what you care about, because here's how. There was some excellent comments said earlier by the CEO Mark Shapiro for TKO. Chris, what did he say? What did the great Shapiro mention?
The great Mark Shapiro from TKO, ladies and gentlemen, Endeavor. He said these exact words, and it might shock some people. I want to hear your guys' reaction. His exact quote was, WWE is not where the UFC is yet on the ticket yield. We have our work to do there, Shapiro said, adding that Vince McMahon had kept ticket prices family friendly rather than focusing on the maximum revenue. Now that we've seen what we can do with the UFC, we're kind of doing the same thing with the UFC with the ticket yield and holding back in advanced sales when it comes to on location WWE side, and it's working out really well. So long story short, this is basically him saying we're going by how the UFC, we're trying to make the WWE as profitable as the UFC because the UFC is bringing us more dollars. And they're basically trying to point their ticket sales based on the UFC. That's kind of what I gotten out of it. And I think it's bullshit, Kev, because it's two completely different markets, it's two completely different markets, bro. MMA and pro wrestling. They're two completely, I know people like to sit around and pretend that, you can imply this and that. No, they're two completely different things. I don't understand where this logic comes from. Again, and I think I know the answer to that question, Kev. It's this part. Vince McMahon had kept ticket prices family friendly rather than focusing on the maximum revenue. What does that mean, chat? Maximum revenue, the most money.
Greedy motherfuckers. And then look, everybody, listen. When you compare UFC, because we cover UFC here, my son. The channel covers UFC. They're two different things, and I always and listen. This happens in our line of field at work as well. Two different things. I'll get to this one. When you have a toothache, you go to the dentist. He's the doctor still, right? But when you have issues with your heart, you go to the cardiologist. Two different things. They're both doctors. They're both considered to be doctors. One specializes in the tooth, the molars, the dentures. The other one on the heart. The same thing with the optometrist. The same thing with a proctologist. They deal with the fucking ass. Yep. The same difference. They're doctors. They're still considered MDs, but they do different things. This is where the TKO settlement, their statement comes totally off base. Wrestling is always been on the predication of the family, direct escape of the world of it's. Some people don't want to call it a sport. Oh, that's sports entertainment. That's the F word, fantasy. And the real F word, fake. That's fantasy, scripted. UFC, what is UFC moved by? Fucking bets, money. This son of a gun is gonna knock this son of a gun out by this much. They don't go week. They don't. Oh, we'll run it back on Monday Night Raw again. Wrestling is an episodic, week-to-week sports entertainment show. Boxing, MMA, combat sports are monthly. You know what? They do monthly. Yes, there's a weekly show, but it's not the same fighters. You're not gonna get Conor McGregor fight each and every Monday night because because I'm gonna say Conor because he's the one that everyone knows the name. If you talk about UFC, Conor McGregor, Cody Rhodes. Conor McGregor is not gonna wrestle or fight a Cody Rhodes schedule. You can't compare them. Those two separate, apples to apples, oranges to oranges. You can't compare it. So you can't charge the same amount of wazoo money that you have in the UFC because people are going to go to see entertainment, those fights. They go to Vegas, they go to week, they go whatever, where the fights are. Also, they're going to put wagers. They're going to put money. It's not in wrestling. They're not going to wager. They're not going to wager AJ Lee is going to put on a GTS on Becky Lynch throughout the match. They're not. It's so tone deaf and so out of place with those stupid comments. This is again why you have people that don't know the business, that don't know, and you put them in a position. Just because you have a lot of money doesn't mean you're capable for that job. I'm sorry. I'm not sitting here and say I'm capable. No, I'm a fan, but you're affecting me. You outpriced me out of everything. Listen, you outpriced me of Full Sail here in Orlando. I was going to pay $50-something to go to Full Sail in a 300-seat venue because the card wasn't pulling me in. I'm sorry. You outpriced me. I'll cover it. They say, well, like I know, and I love how Bubba Ray defended it on pro wrestling, not pro wrestling 24/7 because they don't give you 24 hours of shows live. They repeat the shit out of it after 5. That's another rant. But here's the thing that gets me. It's capitalism. You got to make money. They'll find someone else. He says, if you don't buy it, they'll find some other asshole or another, pretty much saying like that, another set of family that will buy your ticket and go. He's kind of a little bit right on it. I hate to say it. I get mad with it, but he's kind of right. So how could the UK combat that? When they go to the United Kingdom, don't sell the fucking city out. Don't sell the tickets out. Don't buy it. Don't buy it. Have that self-discipline and not go in and say, you know what? You guys should have gave us a WrestleMania. Screw you, Cal. Screw you, pal. I'll go watch Liverpool. I'll go watch Southampton. I'll go watch, Everton, whatever soccer matchups that there is there. Go watch that instead. Show them that the UK fans should have been respected. The UK nation or the European wrestling fandom should have been respected first. We should have gotten to WrestleMania, and we would, by attacking them that way. Listen, I made my decision. I can't afford it. I won't be able to go to any of the wrestling events, even the house shows. Can't afford it. I made that. I watch it on TV, and it is what it is. I made my decision. You outpriced me. God bless those that could afford it. And this is from a licensed electrician, okay? Both of us, we're electricians that work our asses off. But you know what? I like my lights on. I like my air conditioner on. I like to have my drinks, my food, my bills paid, not be in debt or not be in credit card debt to go and be entertained for 3 to 4 hours and then be insulted by the CFO of a company and on the, he doesn't struggle to make your car payment or your mortgage. I'm not going to pick and choose to have a late fee on my mortgage to make you more billions where you don't give a shit about us because you say you don't care about us because the prices were not for us. The UFC, the prices he wants now, he doesn't care about us. So you know what? I shouldn't care about you then. That's the way I feel. And it sucks because, Chris, it sucks because I love the talent. I appreciate every talent that goes out there and mangles their body week after week for 52 weeks all across, not just on television, in the independent scene. We have spoken and interviewed so many independent wrestlers that come on our show that are so awesome. Some of these people, men and women, sleep in their cars, okay, because they for this love of this art that's professional wrestling. So for some jackass like a Shapiro to say he doesn't care about the prices, it's about making the more money, and I don't care. And I'm not asking to care about it, but choose your words more kindly. Can we say he's being honest and brutally honest? We could give him that. Oh, if he sugarcoats it, he's a hypocrite. If he tells us straight up, we're complaining. I understand that. But damn, in 2025, you really insulted us like that. Like, oof. And then you go see what happens with the WWE to go to Saudi Arabia. It's like, okay, good, kudos. We knew that was going to happen. But I don't know, Chris. This is not the professional wrestling that I fell in love with in 1983. And times changes. Times evolve. Time changes. Time evolve. We have to evolve or move away or move on. I guess that's the way it is. Look, I've stopped watching baseball. I can't stand some of the new rules, the pitch clock and all that other stuff. You know what? I don't have to worry about. You don't hear me any agita of the Yankees driving me crazy. I just cut it. Life is too short. Life is too short, and I don't know how many people are going to get there when they're going to say life is too short. I got to cut wrestling, and they're pushing that. At least WWE is pushing that, bro. They're pushing that, and it's sad. It's sad because here's what the TKO, that statement there, Chris, is telling us. They don't care about the 7-year-old growing up when he becomes 40 or when he becomes 32, when he becomes 24, to spend that money to go see their product because they're not going to care about it. How many people, Chris, let me ask you this, real honest with you. Do you ever see yourself buying Super Bowl tickets?
No. Especially if my team's not in it. Hell no.
Regardless of the team. What's the main reason why you won't go to the Super Bowl?
The price.
Exactly. Thank you.
That's the big reason. The price, and it gets full by the celebrities. So, yeah.
Exactly.
Yep.
Exactly. That's the problem here, and that's what something that made it special. That's why wrestling is so special and so prestige in so many people's eyes, because it was wrestling was built by the fan of a fan. Vince McMahon, regardless if you hate him or not, was a fan, and he thought about the fan, and he wanted the fan in his arena, in his building. He'll sprinkle the celebrities at WrestleMania, but not every week. Not every week on Monday Night Raw. You could say the guest GM. I can hear people say, "That's not true," typing up a storm. No, he wanted the everyday men and women to go to his shows, to go and spend their money, and their children to grow up. Repeat. He wanted the repeated customers. TKO just wants the one time. Give me all your money. I'm going to take it all in one shot, and we'll get the next person to give me all their money all in one shot. And we're gonna, I don't know, Chris. I don't know what's going on with this with when it comes to that. First of all, I feel it's sad. To me, I feel sad. Instead of being happy celebrating Saudi Arabia going to getting to WrestleMania, I feel kind of sad. I felt like it's sad. I think we lost something pure, that is WrestleMania, pure of a celebration of professional wrestling.
I agree. I have nothing to add. I think you nailed it on perfectly. They don't care about the fans, so they're going to Saudi, and they got the money to do all that stuff. So,
are they going to put a spectacle? They're saying, oh, they're going to be fireworks galore. There's going to be this, that, but guaranteed, a lot of those entrances for WrestleMania are going to be restricted. The talent don't, they're not going to be creatively free to have those entrances. The ladies are going to be with spandex all the way up to their toenails. It's not that we want to see. Don't misinterpret it. There's restrictions where WrestleMania is a celebration. Do be creatively free. It's just, I don't know. And then I like this one. And I like how people talk that have not been in the struggle, that don't know how it is this week, if I'm going to be able to pay, what I'm able to pay. Am I going to keep my cell phone bill on, or am I going to keep my light bill, or am I going to buy today ramen noodles, or I'm going to buy a piece of steak? This one, hear me out. This is from a comment, and I'll tell you who it's from. Hear me out. We all know TKO is trying to make their money back, right? That's why they're skyrocketing tickets, yada, yada, yada. Maybe all the Saudi Arabia shows help them get back to normal faster. And as far as that goes, I don't know how much they paid, but I know that they don't care how much they're paying for it. Can you dig it? They're pretty much saying, this is a tweet. Let's sell out to Saudi Arabia shows so TKO can make all this money and they'll bring the ticket prices back down. Because once they make all that money, bullshit, they're just going to keep getting higher and higher. This is from a person who, if I tell you his father was a actor, singer, and he played a couple of movie roles, and he has no issues going to front row of WrestleMania.
I know exactly who you're talking about.
Easy for you to talk about because your dad opened up.
About O'Shea Jackson Jr.
Easy for you to say. Easy for you to say because you just say, "Hey, Nikki Blackheart, you want to come on my show?" She's there like this. Meanwhile, we got to jump to hurdles. Hey, Nikki, if you want, we would like to hear your story from a Latin point of view. We're Latin men, and we want to hear and accentuate and celebrate you as a Latina being so over in professional wrestling. Guess what? We're ghosted. Nothing. Silch. Nada. I don't know you, man, but this guy, easy for you to say. Easy for you to say. Come on my show. Why? Because your dad was died to skew? Because you've got this? Oh, my point.
Yep. Yeah. It's happened. This isn't the first time we talked about this. It's happening all time. Every week in WWE. So
that's what they want.
Yeah.
That's what they want. They couldn't care about the regular person who puts their pants on. You know, we all put our pants on one foot at a time, but gets up early to work our ass off to try to make money to pay for the changing apps and wondering, man, what am I going to deprive myself because I need to watch ESPN today? You know, I got to get that app. Maybe I don't. You know what? I won't go out. I won't do something because I need to get that app. They don't care about us. They don't care about us. Let's get back on track here when it comes to the wrestling. Something that we wish we could skip a little bit was NXT Tuesday.
I would love to skip this completely.
NXT for this Tuesday. I know everybody was going crazy for this homecoming. I don't know where the disconnect was. I had to watch NXT through 2 times to see what was.
You watched this again?
I had to watch it again, Chris, because I'm like, maybe I was disconnected. Maybe I was in a bad mood that day. Maybe I something was off with me, with my brain, my balance, whatever.
Fair. You were work week, all that stuff. Fair.
You know, the heat, it was humid. I said, let me sit down and watch it. You know, let's see where was the disconnect. I can't grasp my head and say how people thought this was great. So many production mistakes. From them going to Gwen and so forth. Storytelling. Last time we saw Carmelo Hayes was feuding with Trick Williams. They were enemies. They didn't like each other. And now Johnny Gargano comes back with Ciampa. Trick Williams comes back. He needs an ally. And yes, it doesn't make sense for Trick and Melo to get back when you tell the right story. Not because. They gave us because. They made us because, and then they bring them out. They bring both of them out there, all 4 men, and they belittle the TNA World Champion. I felt the TNA World title so small. Like, whoa. This man, Trick Williams, got a title that neither you Gargano, you Ciampa, or you Carmelo ever wrestled for or gotten. That's the Trick, like it or not, it's the face of the TNA brand. And you made him feel like that title was dismissive. You're just a small little guy in the NXT pond. Bullshit. You guys are a bunch of guppies in a big fucking sea of talent. You guys you're the catering kings. While Trick is making history. I felt that didn't come off. To me, it didn't come off great. If you're Carlos Silva and the TNA brand, you're looking at that and you're like, are they? You know, if you look in between the line, they're taking shots at our title. Like, made us feel small. Like, Trick stood quiet. He should have said, when you guys win a singles heavyweight title or being the face of a company, you guys could talk to me. Pretty much. You could have shut them both off, 3 of them up, but they're going to lead to this wonderful tag team that they're all excited about for homecoming. I think homecoming is nothing but I don't know, a price gouger. To me, I didn't like it.
I didn't like this whole show. I thought the production was off, and we talked a little bit about this after. The production was off. The production was off. We didn't even get to see the whole Fatal Influence entrance. We barely saw half these entrances. It got cut. A lot of the things on the show I didn't care about. I didn't care about anything on the show really, except the ending was fine for what it was, but even that really doesn't make sense.
The match was good. The triple threat match was very good because they led a story with Zarya getting soul snatched by Sol Ruka. Do they finally, after a year, pull the trigger of them breaking up and turn a heel turn?
They should at this point. I mean, we have no feud going. Yeah, let's get into that. Right, that's a little more interesting, I guess, because she has a title and they don't know what to do with that North American title. Shit hasn't been showcased or defended or feuded with in forever. Why can't they finally, put the strap on, or do this with Zarya and Solo Ruka? The only thing I would say, Kev, about this show, I guess the flag match wasn't awful, and I'm sorry for going in different directions here.
No.
But this show just wasn't great. The only thing I could say is the flag match wasn't bad. We don't see those often.
Correct.
So I guess that was cool. Tavion Heights gets a big win over a top heel in Ethan Page. That was probably the best thing that came out of the show. No one gives a fuck about Tyler Breeze coming back.
That's another disconnect. Okay, he shows up.
Where has he been?
You see the fan base. Why?
No one cares about Tyler Breeze coming.
I was like, who?
And the ending I'm talking about, not the match. I thought the match was great. So we have, and this is when Kev met when later in the show, we see Stephanie, Rhea, and Tiffany Stratton. You couldn't have gotten any 3 other people from the eras of NXT. I mean, they're gonna have a tag team match against Fatal Influence. That's, first off, that is the most random fucking 6-man women tag team match I've ever seen. Rhea, Tiffany, and Stephanie Vaquer. This homecoming show is just a tribute to NXT as a whole, and not a very good. So, okay. Which is fine, but what do they have going into this? Nothing. They're going to have – it's nothing. It's nothing that people care about.
It's a money grab.
It is a money grab because I understand the concept of Tommaso, Ciampa, and whatever, but Mello and Trick, the last time we saw them, they hated each other.
Exactly. There was no segment.
What the little bullshit company on Wednesday nights are doing with Adam Copeland and Christian, you should have done this with Carmelo Hayes and Mello, meaning, go find yourself, week and week, still on that, I hate you, but, we're brothers. Let's, I'll help you. That type of thing.
You just piqued something in my brain. Thank you, Chris. I appreciate it because you just piqued something. They just did that here, whang, bam, thank you, man. All they needed to do for 1 week, even 2 weeks. Trick Williams goes to the bar. They did. If you are a true NXT fan, and you watched it, and they knew about the barbershop segments when they used to go get a haircut and laugh and all that stuff. Trick goes into the barbershop. Mello's getting a haircut. They kind of cross paths, and one wants to step up to the other to talk. And we got nothing to talk. Go find yourself. Like you said, something along. I'm not saying it has to be exactly like that, but bring it up slowly, week for 2 week build. What's this going to? Is Trick going to the main roster? But Trick is going in there with no shirt, TNA title upside down, and Carmelo's eyeing it. Doesn't mean he's going to TNA to wrestle. He just sees that Trick is moved on. Like, damn, he's doing bigger and better things, and so forth. And then when Tommaso Ciampa comes out, and Gargano, all that stuff, then we're like, oh, it made sense. All right, Mello sees maybe Mello wants to backstab him for the world title. Or you could add Mike Santana watching his back. Nah, I need no excuses from you. I need no excuses from you. I got your back. You making it a Bound for Glory in one piece.
Exact. That's the better story than having Melo involved at all. Melo and Miz, and then going there back to a reunion with Trick. I like your idea better about Santana. It makes more fucking sense.
Here's another thing. I know Melo is a legend in NXT. We heard it. The Melo. I told you that he should be saying those chants on the main roster. I got it. I understand. Homecoming. But here's another thing. Melo is 2.0. Melo never wrestled in the Full Sail show. Mm-hmm. Neither did Stephanie Vicaire. Neither did Tiffany Stratton.
Exactly.
Just Rhea Ripley. One. That's it. From the Full Sail show. If anything, and I said this, it should have been, where is JC Jane's rematch for the TNA Knockouts title? She didn't get pinned. She didn't lost it. She was taken out of the match. Lost by Marsha Slamovich. Slamovich is getting a TNA Knockouts World title that Why isn't JC Jane? If anything, Ash by Elegance, aka Dana Brooks, cut her teeth at that Full Sail Full Sail show. You know what? You showcased the TNA Knockouts champion taking on JC Jane, and you would have had. You know what? You're off and running because Dana Brooks comes back as a triumphant champion to the NXT Black and Gold house, which is the Full Sail, and you would have had that match, and you would have been more invested because you know what? Maybe JC James is being softened up for Lola Vice, and maybe Lola Vice comes out and helps out where Ash could by Elegance retains because Lola Vice really wants to make JC Jane's life a missing hell, especially after we saw JC Jane show up last night at Worlds Collide in the arena and the crowd. Simple. No, they shoehorned Stephanie Vicaire. I'm not going to sign my contract because I'm not going to Milwaukee or whatever. Don't know. Is she injured? Not injured? Is she pregnant? Not pregnant? Or who knows what the hell's going on with her? But she shows up for that match for Tuesday night where Tiffany and Rhea make it make sense. It didn't make sense. This whole homecoming show didn't make sense. Doesn't make sense. It's a money grab to take. How can we get money out of the people from the city of Orlando? Plain and simple. Because now they after that they announced that they got shows going in Ohio, and great for the NXT brand. They're going to leave the coconut circuit in Orlando, in Florida, all over the state of Florida. They were in Greenville, the Carolinas, Georgia. Now they're going to the Ohio Valley area. Great job. They're going to travel. The days, if you think that the Saudi Arabia move was just the beginning, the tip of the iceberg, and Mark Shapiro's stupid comments, get ready, Performance Center, because you're not going to have your beloved NXT there every Tuesday. You're going to have to pay, and you're going to have to pay a wazoo, and they're going to move that shit around, and that's going to be a weekly paid television show. The days are being numbered when you're going. No more of those free lunch. It's coming to an end. NXT in Orlando, those free lunch days are coming over. So I don't know what you're going to do on Tuesdays from 8 o'clock in the morning until midnight when you wait on that Full Sail parking lot. Maybe you might. Maybe they could have a .net set up a show there live from the parking lot at the Performance Center, or because I don't know what's gonna happen there, brother. I don't know. Yeah. All in all, this was not a good NXT show. That's 2 weeks in a row.
NXT show. Not a good NXT show 2 weeks in a row. I agree. We'll see what they got going on next week. Speaking of a non-good show, you want to get it kind of right into that one? I don't know what to say. Again, third week in a row, AEW Dynamite, ECW Arena. Bryan Danielson is officially joining the AEW Dynamite commentary team. So it looks like Shivani will get moved to Collision, which there you go. I was waiting for you, Kev. I was waiting. That's why I started with that. Yep.
That's a really good move, guys. That's a really good move, guys. That's one of the best moves.
I started
in our sport.
Yes, sport. Woo!
That's one of the best moves in our sport, guys. I really like it, guys.
Oh shit! But no, I started with that because let's get the good out of the way. Now let's get to the show. Hangman.
Hold on, before we get into the Hangman segment, hold on. Because speaking of good stuff, let's give out some good vibes. There's a quick pause in the action where our sponsor. We gotta love our sponsor, so we gotta make sure we give love to our sponsor.
That chili cheeseburger has your guts bubbling and a stanktastic dookie is about to destroy any nostril in a 1,000-foot radius. But the worst part is the embarrassment of innocent bystanders smelling your bathroom atrocity. If only there was another way. Dude bombs to the rescue. Drop your deuce. Stroll out of the bathroom with confidence. Walk around like your shish. Tea don't stank, literally.
Dude wipes are available at thousands of retail stores across the country. Next time you make a grocery run, make a detour to the TP aisle and stock up on Dude wipes. It's your last chance to take 10% off the entire Dude wipes lineup. Use code FRESH10 on your next order. Dude wipes and the Sports Jedi Network channel, wiping the competition clean.
All right,
that's basically what this show was at the end.
Back to back.
That last sound you back to back with fucking NXT. No, but I'm gonna give you guys a kind of what I liked. I'm gonna head into Kev and then I'm gonna answer this phone call. So yes, Hangman starts off. Him and Alexander, they have a match. It was a good match. I thought their match that they had during the Owen Hart was a little bit better. When Alexander made his debut, that match was very good. But after the match, Kyle Fletcher comes out, and the TNT champion Kyle Fletcher comes out, and it is official at All In on September 20th, the day of WrestlePalooza. Hangman will defend his AEW World Title against the TNT champion Kyle Fletcher. Kyle Fletcher has a 0% chance to win this match. I don't know why you're booking this match between your two champions, your two male champions that are supposedly your top male champions in the company. I don't like it. I think Kyle Fletcher should be making that TNT championship more dominant by defending it every week. But whatever. It's just going to be a match that nobody really is going to care too much of the outcome. And then they had Rio and Alex Windsor defeat Mercedes Moné and Emmy.
It's
Windsor. But we know who did not take, who didn't take the pin. It was not Mercedes. It was her partner. And that match was just I didn't care about it at all, man. I'm tired of seeing Alex Windsor and Mercedes being involved in shit, knowing she's not going to get the push. Yeah, that shit's stupid as fuck. Ricochet defeated Shelton Benjamin by a pinfall. It was a fun match. They're super athletic guys. They know how to move. Shelton still looks good for his age. I don't like Ricochet, but it was a good match. Toni Storm enters versus Sky Blue, comes out as the Sandman. That was cool. She had some type of beer and whatever coming out with the stick in this ECW arena. That was a cool segment. There was a picture of Toni Storm or of Sandman proposing to Toni Storm backstage, but instead of the ring, it was the kendo stick.
She was knighted. She was knighting him.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah. So that was it was a good tribute. It was a good tribute. Toni Storm wins the match. After the match, she was attacked by Julia Hart and Tekla. Jamie Hayter and Chris Statlander made the save. And then it looks like at All In or All Out is going to be a 4-way match. Toni Storm versus Statlander versus Hayter versus Tekla. The main event, which I'm going to be honest, guys, I fell asleep right before the main event started. Work did contribute into me being tired, but this did not help at all. This actually was like my melatonin for the night. A $500,000 10-man all-star tag team match.
Oh, baby.
Death Riders, which includes John Moxley, Claudio, and Wheeler versus the Young Bucks. They defeated Bro Dito and the Ops. I could not get into this match. I did end up seeing some of the clips after, but I fell asleep before the match. I did not care. They're gonna continue to do these bullshit all-star matches. But one thing that came out of this Dynamite is that Daniel Garcia is officially, and I don't know about officially, but he is a part of the Death Riders. Daniel Garcia turns heel, beats up Darby Allin, and it looks like Daniel Garcia is now a Death Rider. Kev, what are your thoughts about what I just said? I'm going to go into this phone call real quick.
First and foremost, I love how Chris bought the Death Riders merchandise. He just left off the screen, but he's got his t-shirt, his Death Rider t-shirt on. Look,
and I didn't have to pay that ridiculous price to do it either.
Look at that. He's got his Death Riders white t-shirt ready to go. Listen, All Elite Wrestling, they wrapped up a great opportunity there, that residency in a 2300 arena, the former ECW arena. For those fans in Philadelphia, they enjoyed it. For the sickos on television, mixed reaction because of the rating numbers. If you like it, you like it. If you didn't, you didn't. It kind of felt like rinse and repeat. Another 8-man all-star challenge, or 10-man, whatever you want to be called. Too much. You go into that now a little too much. You're getting redundant. It's like a way of you saying, like I always go back to the Latin aunt, Latina that wants to put everybody in the picture. You know, get all the cousins together, squeeze them in. Wait. We got to get this cousin, but he's not family. No, he's family. He's so. And it feels like Tony Khan wants to cram in as many talent as possible to a match. He does it with the pay-per-views, month after month. He does it. He it feels like he wants anybody and their mother. He sees them walking down. Hey, put that pizza roll down, and you're going to be part of this tag team or this 8-man all-star challenge. We're going to fictitious money. Is it really that much of a creative? All of that just to tell the story that Daniel Garcia is going to turn heel. For Daniel Garcia, what does that mean? I don't know. If you're a wrestling fan, what does that mean? If you're an AEW sicko, what does that mean for Daniel Garcia? Is he going to get elevated, or is he going to be in a role where he's just going to be playing the role of Willa Yuta, another guy who's going to take pins, who's going to get beat up, take the conundrums and getting in and rinse and repeat? Only you guys that watch the product and see it week after week knows that right answer. I don't even think Tony Khan knows the answer, what he's going to do with Daniel Garcia. He knows he signed him to a long-term contract, and he's getting television time. At least he's not telling him to stay at home and do nothing. We got nothing for you in creative. We don't know what we're going to do for you. They're trying something with Daniel. Hopefully Daniel could get it over. As far as Bryan Danielson on commentary, you need that fresher voice. People tend to gravitate and love what Daniel Bryanson has to say on the microphone. You need a little bit of a change, a little bit of a different voice. To put Bryan Danielson on, it's a good optical view because you're getting younger, you're getting a little hipper. Not that Schiavone's a terrible broadcaster, but when I think of Tony Schiavone, and with all due respect, I think of all the failed companies he worked for. WCW, he was their voice behind it, and AEW is going in that same direction as WCW, and I associate him with it because he's part of both of those eras. I think it's time for Schiavone just to do the commentary on Saturday nights, which that show is having a hard time staying relevant, and also the backstage interview. I think he's a really good backstage interview. He's a Hall of Fame broadcaster, but a little man out of his time, a little man out of his time in the wrestling business, especially when it's something live, and sometimes his enthusiasm seems a little too non-genuine. Where there was a case where Daniel Bryan on or Bryan Danielson, whichever way you want to call him, had a moment there when they didn't break the table spot in AEW. He goes, you know what? You think that hurts more than not going through the table? I wish the table would break because that hurts. I paraphrase. That's a good insight because when he says that, you're going to pay attention and listen to it because Schiavone's never taken a bump that we recognize, that we know. So we're like, you know what? When Bryan Danielson breaks it down, you tend to, okay, nice. You know what? He's been there, done that. I get it. So I like the fact that they're trying something different. You got to give it some time if it's going to work for All Elite Wrestling. At least they're trying something, but they have to try something better with other than those all-star men and women challenges because that's getting a little bit redundant. And then another tournament has been announced. So we had a tournament and this is the one that makes no sense. Okushei Okada is your undisputed unified champion, or whatever the hell they want to call that title. Yeah, unified title. Why is he in a tournament to keep for his title when he's the champion? He should be the final boss, waiting for the peons to wrestle, for the opportunity to wrestle him. It's like the speed championship. So Ruka's the champion. She's waiting for a number one contender. They're going through all the speed title champions. Why is Okada in a tournament to defend his title for his own title. He should be the final boss. He should be the final level where people get that. Make it make sense. Those are and those are just minor little details that disconnect. But when you have that over and over and over, this is where they get the bad negativity from the wrestling community with those type of flaws, Chris.
No, I agree. I think they're trying to do something different, but it's the same shit. It's the same shit every week. They're done at the residency at the ECW. So I think they're in Canada or something. Wednesday. I have really no idea. But I don't know, man. With this show's even hard to get invested in, bro, without Osprey or Swerve. Now Kenny's not gonna be out. I mean, nothing on this show personally interests me. And I hate to say it, and I really do, because I sound boring and I sound like, but it's the truth, bro. It's like, what do they none of this shit makes sense.
The FTR going
that
after
might be
fan.
the only. Oh, I tweeted about that. Like
he was a podcaster.
Dax, Dax needs to chill doing shit like that, because one of these days the fans, it's gonna turn out ugly. One of these days, I have a bad feeling. But without Swerve Osprey, this show just feels bland. The show just bland, and I understand. I like the ECW arena, but the show makes. I mean, this venue makes this company looks small, and it's not big, but it makes. I don't know. I'm just not invested in this show, man.
Look, I know that you. Here's the thing. Also, the owner doesn't help himself much either, because you waited. Didn't you go 10 months without seeing the world heavyweight title in a briefcase, hidden, all that stuff? And I get it. I understand you want to put your world heavyweight title right after the most greatest entrance, the four pillars of AEW: Kutapali, Sheldon, Leonard, and Wallowitz, the true four pillars of AEW, which is the Big Bang Theory, and you want to start off with your world champion. But shouldn't that be your main event? Like Josh Alexander and Hangman Buck, that should be your main event, not this All-Star Challenge. Because how many weeks in a row have we having all these fictitious All-Star challenges? Are they really All-Stars? They're just AEW wrestlers. They're not All-Stars. What are they All-Starring? In what? What are they are they headlining WrestleMania? Are they headlining it? No, none of them are headlining your all in, all out. None of them. Stop calling it an all-star. Just I think that's where the disconnect is. You haven't showcased your world champion, and you leave and you start off the show with it. Like, it's just, I don't know. There's so many things there that I question. If it just doesn't make sense. It's like, throw a dot on the board. Tony Khan, I want to go first because I need to get the hell out of here. And he goes, oh yeah, no problem, man. Yeah, let's go. That's what it feels like, bro. That's what it feels like. It just didn't resonate to me.
Yeah,
it didn't resonate.
It does not, man. This show, the pay-per-views do.
And I mean, speaking about that, everyone's giving him flack for moving to 3:30. We talked a bit about it last week.
We talked about that, and I think it's a good thing. We both agree it's a good thing.
It's a good thing. Just let it go. Let it go. It's a good thing. It's a really good thing for them to go at 3:30 on that for them.
It's a good thing for them, and it's a good thing for us.
But here's the thing that you have to keep an eye on. I don't know what's the ramification or what it is. Paramount has put in the bid to purchase Warner Brother Discovery. Now, what does that mean? We don't know. We don't know that the All Elite Wrestling's TV contract runs until 2027. We don't know what that means. If Paramount Plus wants to continue with the wrestling business with All Elite Wrestling, do they want to keep? All right, we'll give you Dynamite. We'll give you another hour, but we got to get rid of that Saturday show. 2 hours of Saturday block. So there might be a reduction. There might be Collision gone, and Dynamite giving you 3 hours just to keep wrestling content until 2027, and who knows what happens after that. Because you remember Paramount Plus is working with the UFC and is in TKO working, and they gave a lot of money to TKO to bring the UFC their premium live events. Also, we're seeing on Thursday nights TNA now promoting a lot of Paramount movies. The Naked Gun, the new Naked Gun with Liam Neeson. They've been featuring it now 2 weeks in a row. Could that be a front runner for TNA to go to that platform?
Yeah,
2 weeks in a row.
TNA was. I don't know. I don't want to kind of go off, off the rails.
No.
TNA, they're. I think they're going to be fine in the future. I think they are. If we saw it again, this week they promoted it, and I think with the story, what they have going on, I'm not surprised if they really do make some noise. I thought this week of Thursday wasn't a bad show at all. I was a little tired as hell during the show, so that's why now I can now that I went back and watched it, kind of how like you did with NXT, and I really did enjoy that show on Thursday. So I think they'll be in the future making some noise.
Something we got to keep an eye on when it comes to Paramount Plus or the Paramount company purchasing the Warner Brothers Discoveries. You know that they're always going to make some cuts. Certain shows are not going to be beauty is in the eye of the beholder. So we don't know what's the beauty in the eye of Paramount executives. If it's something, especially when you have other wrestling companies that are doing better and perception-wise growing when it comes to total nonstop action with the Anthem group. They're an ascending company right now. Regardless if you don't agree with it, don't agree with it. The TNA brand is getting hotter and more in demand while the All Elite brand is taking a step back. And this is an opportunity if Paramount says, you know what, we could get in with TNA where they're ascending while WWE could be taking a step back with their pricing and people getting a little bothered. They could be an alternative. They still get WWE product with some talent, but at the expense of Paramount says, let's get behind this ascending, blue chipper, which, TNA has been around for many years. And really, if you say, damn, TNA is not a blue chipper, but they are. Believe it or not, they're rising. They're on a resurgence. Their trajectory is positive for TNA. Could we see Paramount Plus invest in that for them to see the boom in the wrestling business? I think they see more of an upside when it comes to a TNA than rather than AEW. So that's my opinion. That's where I think. So keep an eye on that. All in all, if you missed our TNA review, we have it here on our channel. We do a TNA review immediately after the show is completely over. We give you our recap, our raw reaction, our instant reaction, what we saw. Again, I always say this, TNA, one of the best nights on all professional wrestling, regardless of the fact it was on a tape delay or recorded a week earlier from Minnesota Armory. I thought everything was a really good show leading up to storylines for the following week and then some. The one thing that we thought was a little bit of disconnect was the Alicia Fox, aka what's her name in TNA? I just drew a blank right now.
Victoria Crawford.
Victoria Crawford. My goodness, I just drew a blank.
Dude, we do it all the time with the Zayas.
Yeah.
That happens all the time.
I thought that was a little bit of a disconnect. Her deliverance, it was a little. Some people say cringe. It could have been a little cringe. But that's her first time out there. I'm pretty sure with some production, with some feedback, tying screws. It started off the same thing with the First Class with AJ Francis, and that's a fun. When they do the First Class segment, now it's kind of fun because he knows how to ribs the crowd in a fun way. So at first it was a little bit like chewing on tinfoil. Now it's kind of fun, and the same thing with the King's speech for Frankie Kazarian. So the first few times, like everything, we got to get used to it. I think I'm going to give her the benefit of the doubt. We got some good knockout matchups there with the tag team titles we've talked about leading up to it. We see M by Elegance had a really good match despite not going over. I thought that was the better match of the two separate singles. We mentioned that as well. We also saw Trick Williams attacking Mike Santana, now opening the door that we might see Mike Santana chase Trick and have a receipt for him at Homecoming. And I wanted to say this. I think that tag team, him watching Carmelo instead of Carmelo Trick, we mentioned it. It should have been watching his back. How many people are going to go nuts if Mike Santana shows up in the Full Sail Arena with all the Puerto Rocks that live in Orlando?
I agree. And because Orlando has a lot of Puerto Ricans, obviously. And I think not even just a Puerto Rican thing. We're seeing the reaction that Santana gets in the Performance Center. We know a lot of those Performance Center guys are going to pay the $55 to go. And even if, not just him, exactly, wave that shit because he's our guy. He's our guy. And he's over, not just with us, not just with people that come from where we do, but he's over. So I think he makes an appearance during that match at least at some point. And then that gets DIY the win. But I enjoyed TNA. Moose and AJ had a good match as well. I liked that match. And once they get that TV deal, I think more people are going to be paying attention to TNA. Obviously,
I agree.
but I think, right, because right now it's not the easiest to find. I mean, they do it on YouTube sometimes, but it's not exactly the easiest to find for some people. So,
but they're trying. I'm going to give you this here.
They are.
They're trying.
They are. Absolutely. By putting the shows on YouTube and by giving the app affordable, I like what they're doing. So I have really, really, good expectations.
Listen. Right now, if you're not watching TNA currently right now while they're on YouTube, something you don't want to watch, because you can watch other people be negative about wrestling or even our show and get a big audience. TNA, then you're choosing not to watch it. I understand they're doing it now while NFL football is returned on Thursday night, and it's the first 2 weeks, but it's going to even itself out where Thursday night football is going to take a low. You're going to get some players, some teams that are not interesting later on in the week, in the months of football in the season, where that's when TNA is going to capitalize on the Thursday night right now. The first few weeks, I'm not going to, it's going to be tough because it's the new hot thing right now. And people are not going to want to watch Thursday night football because they want to bet. They haven't bet, since the Super Bowl, and they want to bet. They want to see their investment, and TNA is a little bit on a right now. I think it would even it out where TNA will start growing. Let's watch where TNA goes. I thought they were fun. Regardless being taped, it was a fun, good show, very good show. I believe one of the best shows of the week. Week after week. But speaking of a good fun show, even with the backlash of the press conference at 3:00, the morale was a little down. SmackDown, we have Brock Lesnar kicks it off. We're like, wow. Once you thought things were going to get worse, you get Brock Lesnar. Everyone's down, everyone's upset, and then Brock shows up. And I did not expect this, Chris. We have Ron.
I didn't either, brother.
Killing come out, bro. Your thoughts on that segment? That was wow.
You know what? Did you notice Brock crack or break?
Yeah. Yes.
Cena. He went immediately back into that Brock Lesnar, man. No, it was good to see Brock Lesnar open the show up last night, because we haven't heard from him in a long time. We really haven't seen much of him since SummerSlam and him doing that F5 during the Sami Zayn match last week, but we wanted to hear from him. It's been a while. My only thing is they are R-Truth starting to get back to that comedy thing again when they brought him back to kind of be serious, and I'm just curious and concerned on how he's gonna play out in the future. But this was great. This was good stuff. I really enjoyed it. Cena, he's still doing that Cena childhood hero stuff, and Brock is always gonna get a good laugh out of R-Truth. So this was good. I enjoyed this.
That's why people was like, I'm worried, but worry entertain. Yes, super over to entertain.
Absolutely.
You make Brock Lesnar break character and chuckle. That was huge. He's like, yeah, I'm R-Truth, Ron, the Truth, Cena, and like, wait a minute, you have the same. No, we have the same fathers. Like different. I was like, what? Your brother from another mother. And he says, no, we have the same fathers. I'm like, that's exactly what he just said. It was the
funny thing was he took a picture with Cena Sr. right before the show. So it just checked the box. It took you away from that moment of all the disgusting stuff that Brock did and all that shit outside of the wrestling show, and entertained you. It took you away from that escape. I love the fact when Brock says that you're missing a tooth, like he's trying to and you go, I am, and then he goes, he F5'd them. I was like, oh, great. And he split his freaking pants to not only, you know what, in a perfect world, it alleviate a little bit of the tension by Brock splitting his pants. It made him show that he's human. He's not just a beast, and the beast is also human, which to me, it symbolized that Cena has a major chance of beating him because he's not they're not going to book him invincible. He breaks his pants. He was wearing, luckily he knew what brand of show he was on. He knew he was going to be on SmackDown, and he put on his blue underwear that matches the SmackDown logo. Brock Lesnar was on point. He was matching even his underwears. You gotta appreciate that.
Gotta appreciate that. It had that blue, that dude white color blue. So yeah, so Brock Lesnar, good comedy act, good return. I loved it. I wanted to talk about a match that, yes, we tend to roll our eyes with this man, but this USA Open Challenge, I thought Rey Fenix and Sami Zayn had the match of the week. Plain and simple. I said it on my live stream. That was the match of the whole entire week. That match was a ultra banger. Rey Fenix went over what I go over, the near fall finishes, the moves, the pace. At one point, Sami Zayn was on the outside sucking wind. That's how quick pace Rey Fenix took it to during a commercial break. I thought this match was great. I thought this was Rey Fenix coming out, showing, especially now that 24 hours ahead, we find out Andrade is no longer with the company. So now Rey Fenix showcase more of a singles. And if you're going to go by that United States title run, was a great job there for Rey Fenix. Sami Zayn retains, but if they want to run this back later down the road, we're all invested because this was a match that we wanted to see here. Great job there. Great job there. And I went and I go, you know, one thing I said on the watch on, ooh, that's going to be tough the next match. And it was B-Fab versus Julia. And I'm like, oh man, that's going to be a tough one. I like the fact that it was a non-contest where they attacked her, and it's going to lead to a tag team, I guess, with Meacham and B-Fab taking on Julia and Kiana James later down the road. I like that they scrapped it because it was going to be tough for them to follow that match with the crowd investment and especially the harsh words that they had for Meacham last week's match. It was going to be a tough one for her, you know, and for B-Fab to get people to get invested. I'm glad that they didn't give us that match because it was going to be a tough one to follow. One match they did give us that was really good, I thought, was the Tiffany Stratton Jade Cargill match. I was telling everyone in the chat, yes, the outcome has to make sense. I said, you know what? I kind of want them to go on an all-out brawl where you want to see these ladies run it back because they just beat each other to senseless. Nia Jax Insurgents, it wasn't exactly the way I called it, but I like the fact that Nia inserted herself, Chris.
Yeah, and I think it's most likely going to be a triple threat between Jade Cargill, Nia Jax, and Tiffany, which is going to be good. I thought their match maybe was a little bit better, or this match was maybe a little bit better than their SummerSlam match. So it was a good match one-on-one. And Nia showing up, you know, they got two big women in there, you know, not big, but, you know, powerhouses. And they got Tiffany, you know, she's kind of the underdog as the champion, I think. So I'm excited to see how this is going to take place in the future. But it was great for Nia Jax to go out there because, man, I think she's been doing amazing since she's come back.
Great job there because now we want to see them, all of the ladies. And I was telling my chat yesterday, was saying the chat was they do these matches because everything was one of Jade Cargill's better matches, but the ending, the spear, came up short. I was saying this. Jade looks like she gets in her head thinking what she's doing next instead of read and react in the professional wrestling. She has to trust herself to read and react. You saw the difference between the coaching from the Performance Center in Tiffany Stratton's development and Jade Cargill's development. Nothing wrong. They put on a banger of a match, but you saw a little bit where Tiffany's just a little bit above in the wrestling pecking order than the Jade or is right now. So I mentioned I would love to see Jade Cargill go a couple weeks to Reality of Wrestling to work with Booker T. His coaching staff, his school, like they did with Lash Legend and Trick Williams, because they could wrestle that tall style. That book, I don't know what it is with the Reality of Wrestling. They do a phenomenal job of bringing that out from them. But again, but I liked it. I'm invested. I can't wait to see what's going on and so forth. I made a statement. This is why Jade hasn't won a world title yet, because because I know someone said, why she keeps getting these world title opportunities over and over, and when she's clearly not ready, because they're showing her, we want to push you. We want you to work hard. We believe in you, but and guaranteed coaches are showing her this is where the disconnect is. You missed here, you missed there. We need you to clean that up because we got you in the main event status, but we want you to take that next step and cross that finish line. And I think that's what they're doing with Jade Cargill. Like it or not, I see the vision when it comes to Jade going forward. The match between Randy Orton and Drew McIntyre, I knew it was going to be a nice heel, slow pace with Randy Orton and Drew. I like the story they told us in the ring, leaving us to want more between Drew and Randy, but Randy took the pin from Drew McIntyre. Cody Rhodes comes out. We knew something, again, predictability. We knew where it was going. They challenged. They haven't made it official. They're going to have that match between Cody and Drew. But beware of Randy. I thought some people thought it might have been a triple threat. All in all, SmackDown was a better, again, and this was a better show because it had SmackDown talent. Piggyback off of last Friday's Monday Night Raw incursion to help SmackDown get over. So kudos from them taking that momentum from last week and applying it to their talent this week. That's brand-oriented talent. Good job there.
I agree. I really enjoyed the main event too. You know, I want with Randy Orton and Drew McIntyre. And I think Drew McIntyre winning makes sense. Obviously, you know, he's the next #1 contender for the WWE Championship. And I still think they're milking out something between Cody Rhodes and Orton. I think we're just not getting it yet, but it's going to happen. And we're slowly starting to see, you know, them kind of get there. It's going to happen. Maybe something happens at WrestlePalooza. Hey, what would how cool would it be for the first show on ESPN? Randy Orton turns heel on Cody after the match against Drew McIntyre when obviously Cody wins it. And then RKO, boom. I mean, that would be something that will get people talking about even more than what we're getting on this show. So I would love to see something like that kind of set the tone for that in the future. Because, you know, they're going to these places now. They got to start getting these big time matches. Right. And so I think that could possibly be something at WrestlePalooza that we could watch out for.
Yep. Honorable mentions. Carmelo Hayes asked for a United States Open challenge for Sami Zayn, but lurking in the background, Shinsuke Nakamura in the background, lurking in the background in the deep far back. Like to see that there. Also got to see Miz and Melo pull the trigger already. These guys are going to be adversaries. Let's move on from it. Let's get going with that. And all in all, SmackDown was good. I want to talk about really quick the final segment before we get going is Worlds Collide. I thought Worlds Collide again. One of the most funnest show that WWE and AAA continues to do every time they deliver. We saw different things there. We saw the Wyatt Six come out and attack Gargano and Psycho Clown after the New Day. Great job on Waller getting some more reps. I told people in my chat, I keep telling you, don't sleep on Waller. Just because creative failed them. Again, we're not giving them anything. Waller's a good ring wrestler. On the microphone, I've said so many great things about Waller. He delivered with Kofi. They put on a hell of a match. All four men in that ring told a great story in that tag team and the Parejas tag team matchup for the AAA tag team titles. That was a great match there. They got to let Waller cook. Give Waller things to do because I hate to see that potential be released or gone. I'm a big Uber Waller fan. I've been saying it. He's the heel type of guy. They got to let him go. I love that. When I mean go, let him cook. Let him get TV time. Let him sink or swim.
Do they not see him as something big?
I don't know.
Because
I don't think they do.
I agree with what you're saying because he's good on the mic by himself, and especially when he's in crowds, like he knows how to make the crowd hate him. So I do they just not see him something in it? And you saw in his early days at NXT 2.0 right there. So like, what do they not see? I just don't think they see something that he could be big on his own.
Here's the thing: first impressions, what's hurting him? His first impression on the main roster, he's losing the edge at Madison Square Garden. And they can't. I'll see it. The same. What do I say? I'm sorry. I can't unsee. So what was it that I keep telling you? It'll get back to me. But I think creatively, thinks maybe they weren't paying attention. They paid attention to that match, and Edge jobbed out Waller, and he has never recovered from that. Got to be careful when you feed who you feed to at what time. So, that's the veteran giving the young man a rub. Did it? I don't think so. Because I don't think Edge has never recovered from that.
I agree.
I don't think Waller's never recovered from Edge beating him at Madison Square Garden in his first match. Yeah, this is great. And he wanted to paint the picture. That's his first match. My first match at Madison Square Garden against the legend, Hall of Fame legend. Yeah, but he hasn't recovered. And Waller is better than that. Waller, trust me, Waller is one of those guys, and it'd be suck for another company to scoop him up and he excels. And you're like, damn, where was this at? No, it was always there. You just didn't see it. You were stuck at that moment in his debut. I hope, I hope that's why the same thing with Carmelo Hayes. Yes, he started off with Cody and he went off with Cody, but has he really recovered? He hasn't really recovered from that. So I was scared when I saw Braun lose to Seth Rollins when he came up to Raw on that Undisputed World title. I mean, when he was the World Heavyweight Champion, I was so scared. I'm a big Uber with Braun. Why did he lose to Braun? Braun challenged him, but they at least helped him get over. But still, he's still not there quite yet. But still, he's much more in better position than Melo and Waller. So all in all, I thought congratulations to Dirty Dom winning the Mega Campeón. He's a two-time. Now he has two belts. Dominic Mysterio. Interesting part when he wins the title, Judgment Day is all there to congratulate him, and he goes and hugs a Grande Americano first. Wow, I was like, holy shnikes, we got something cooking there, Grande Mexicano. And that was pretty. Yeah, Finn was a little taken back with that.
Yeah, man. I saw the end of the match. I got to go back and rewatch. I had some things pop up last minute that couldn't watch the whole show, but Dominic Mysterio being the AAA champion and Ray presenting it to him, bro.
That was cool.
That was. I know backstage they were like, I wonder how backstage was after. They were probably dying, laughing, hugging it out. It's a big moment. That was great.
And Conan calling that too, Chris.
Yeah. Oh my God, yeah. So I got to go back and rewatch the whole show. But when I saw that Dominic became AAA Mega Champion, it was great, man. It was great. And then I see the clip of that. Really, really good stuff. We'll see what happens with that. Now I'm curious to see how they implement the AAA characters in WWE television to build that championship up and to build the matches with Dominic against some of the Mr. Iguanas, the Dr. Wagners. That's the only thing I'm curious about now, but loved it. From the little bit that I saw, I enjoyed it.
I enjoyed the Fatal 4-Way for the Latin American champion. Oh, that was good. Dr. Wagner won. It made sense, but Ethan Page, JD McDonough continues to show you the Jordan Devlin that we saw in NXT UK. And of course, Dragon Lee was the star of the show last night. Dragon Lee went like Ray Phoenix went over without going over. He did. Dragon Lee was all over, did some great moves. It reminds you why Dragon Lee is special. Great job there. And, Wagner won. They made sense. And Ethan Page was very hot about it. I thought Ethan Page was going to win. I thought Ethan Page was going to be a two-time champion, a two-title champion. I was like, ooh, Ethan's going to come out
surprised with what they're doing now. So,
but it was great job that they did there. Very good job. We had Terrian Knights in the crowd. We had, the mixed tag team match. Di Melito came out by himself underneath with a hand. Somebody was underneath the ring there, and he scared Iguana. That was a fun mixed tag team match. There they do it good. The 8-man, there was like an 8-man tag. You had Máscara Sagrada. Of course, that was fun opening. The match opening contest was fucking fun. It was just a fun match. LWO though, to me, took a step back. Raheem and Cruz del Toro were a little off. Like, guys, you should. This is triple. They've been off. Maybe their lack of bumps or reps in the ring was showing, but I thought everyone else did well. Lince Dorado, all the other wrestlers did a good job. Phenomenal work. The whole card was really good. They continue to deliver. I can't wait for the next World Collide. Matter of fact, I'm going to watch it again once we off the stream. That's how good it was. I'm going to watch it again. It was fun. But this is the week in wrestling, man.
Yeah, go ahead, Chris. I'm gonna when I get done doing what I got to do, I'm gonna go watch it too. And then, but no, yeah, this was a good week in wrestling. A lot of breaking news and rumors going around. We had a great audience today. Thank you guys, obviously, for tuning in. Thank you, Kev. Thank you, everybody here. It's great. It's great. Talking about pro wrestling on Saturday. I like what we've built here. With this show, and we're gonna continue to do great things here. So WrestlePalooza, it's gonna be a interesting one.
We'll try to give a prediction video.
We'll try to give a prediction video up. Yeah. Because
we don't have the full full card yet.
Yeah, we don't have the full card yet, so we'll get that going. But this was a great show today. Great show.
Yeah, we definitely want to react on that. We also want to see. Remember, Monday Night Raw is going to be an hour early, so not at 8 o'clock, 7 o'clock start.
I'll be here for that.
Remember, it's an hour earlier. Of course, homecoming. You got
Playback.
All Elite
Catches on
Wrestling.
playback.
All Elite Wrestling. They're gonna have their show. TNA. We're gonna be doing the reviews as well as the watch alongs. SmackDown and of WrestlePalooza. Hopefully we get that going. So with that said, we want to thank him. We want to thank our sponsor, Dude Wipes. We appreciate Dude Wipes. Of course, they want to let you know.
Dude Wipes. The leaves may be falling, and the dumps are calling. Dumpkin spice season is here.
Thank Dude Wipes, our official sponsor here. We thank you guys for watching us here on a Saturday. Don't forget to hit like, share, subscribe, follow us on PGH Chris TV on X, as well as Sports Jedi Media on X. Follow us on our Instagram. The video is on the video description. If you want to email the show, if you're an independent wrestler, we want to book you on. We want to have a conversation. We want to have a pod. We want to interview you, hear your story. We haven't done any requests in a while. We've been I don't know. I have nothing lined up yet as of this week, but things change by here in the next 24 to 48 hours. We'll see if we get a guest on. Yes, I wanted to mention honorable mention. Happy birthday to Vicious Vicky, who was celebrating a birthday. Vicious Vicky, happy birthday to you there.
Shout out to Vicious Vicky.
Yes, and everyone that's watching along on the YouTube, on our Instagram, salute to our independent wrestlers. Steal the show out there. Our boys, Jared, Matt, awesome, as well as Nair Robles, Lady Shadow, and all the different wrestlers. Destructive Nancy, I know they're rivals. La Bebe, Savage, Miss Jayla Heights as well. All our friends that salute to you guys, and we'll see you guys, man. We'll have a good one. Have a good Saturday. Don't get pinned. Always kick out. Don't get life over, and we'll see you guys in another galaxy far, far away. May the sports be with you. Que Dios lo bendiga.